Welcome back, or welcome if you're just joining us. It's The World This Week, and we're in the company of Aaron Zaleski of the Daily Beast partner of the show. Welcome back as well to Claude Guibal of public radio station France Inter. Lila Jacinto, who cracks the whip on the second floor of our building at France24.com. And Elena Servitaz, also in the building, sister station Radio France International's Russian language service. Earlier this week, by the way, Moscow witnessed the arrest of the highest-ranking official since the 1991 failed coup. 60-year-old Alexei Ulyukayev, the veteran economic development minister, accused of extorting a $2 million bribe from one of Russia's most powerful men, Igor Sechin, the boss of oil giant Rosneft. We can show you images from Wednesday's cabinet meeting provided over by Prime Minister Medvedev. Am I right in saying, Elena Servitaz, if we look at those images, that those are long faces? They're looking quite. They're not smiling, are they?
Not at all. Not at all. You know what the question I was asking myself during all this week? For me, it's very important to know if Medvedev knew about all this, what's happening, because it's very bizarre how the procedure was, done. He was arrested during the night. He wasn't jailed like Nikita Belykh, another liberal governor who was arrested and he's in jail. This minister, he's in house arrest with a bracelet. We have no evidence as the governor was arrested. We saw the video, him with the money. And so now they try to make a thing that he took the money. But if you have this evidence, why don't you show them on TV screen? Why this arrest is during the night? Because this minister, he has no possibility to call his chiefs. It's very, very, very bizarre. You know,
some saying that this is to target Medvedev's entourage.
No, Medvedev entourage, because maybe there is a few vice-ministers like Dvorkovich and people who are working with them. I'm not sure if it's about Medvedev directly, because normally what's going to happen if one of your ministers is arrested, what you have to do, you have to call the president of the country. If there is not a lack of confiance, or this is very bizarre. I think it's all the people who endorse this deal, Bashneft, Rosneft, and he was publicly not okay with this, with privatization. So
this is the boss of Rosneft throwing his weight around?
Yeah, Sechin is everywhere now. Yeah. You have to think about it. And Financial Times say that we're going to see our other arrests.
All right, we'll have to wait and see on that story. I want to get back to something Claude Guibal said earlier about the way in which politics is being shaped by what we read on social media and what we click on. With Trump in the White House, the English Oxford Dictionary this week choosing as its word of the year, post-truth. That follows all the tall tales heard on the campaign trail. Fears of a post-truth era taking hold and expressed quite bluntly on a European tour where the outgoing U.S. president seemed to be passing the baton when it comes to liberal, open border values to Germany's chancellor. In Berlin, Barack Obama warning of fake news, particularly on social media, fueling, as he put it, the threat of a breakdown in democracy.
In an age where there's so much active misinformation, and it's packaged very well, and it looks the same when you see it on a Facebook page or you turn on your television, where some over zealousness on the part of a U.S. official is equated with constant and severe repression elsewhere. If everything seems to be the same and no distinctions are made, then we won't know what to protect. We won't know what to fight for. And we can lose so much of what we've gained in terms of the kind of democratic, freedoms and market-based economies and prosperity that we've come to take for granted.
Democratic freedoms, market-based economies and prosperity that we've come to take for granted. Is our whole way of life in danger, Aaron Zaleski?
Because of the Trump victory in general, or
no,
fake
he's
news
talking
being
about
passed on, fake news being
the
passed
way we
on
sort of
Facebook.
talk about news these days.
Well, I mean, the thing to understand is that the media landscape, the whole media landscape, has undergone this seismic shift in the past decade, where initially, where the internet was just becoming a platform where people were getting their news. It was magazines, newspapers, internet. And now a significant percentage of people are getting their news from Facebook. And it is true that there are people that can't determine or can't distinguish between what is, if it is packaged in a similar manner, what is legitimate story and what is not.
The head of German intelligence this week warning that there could be attempts from outside to meddle in the German elections next year and pointing the blame at Russia, really, saying that they could try to blow stories out of proportion in the way President Obama was mentioning there. Do you get a sense of that when you work on our website?
Oh, when I work on a website? No, I mean, we haven't had Russian hackers getting into
No, but you get a sense when you look at the competition stuff that suddenly, whoa, there's stories here that just aren't true that are popping up everywhere.
Listen, I'm old school and I only trust branded names. I have absolutely no patience for this newfangled stuff. But I mean, the one thing that's happening here that can be worked on, are these algorithms. Now Facebook apparently fired some of journalists who were making these decisions of trying to distinguish fake news from real news, and they were replaced
Let's just explain that for our viewers. Algorithms means that basically Facebook automatically puts certain stories in front of you according to what you click on.
Exactly. And Google does that too. And these algorithms are top secret and they change all the time. But you cannot replace human judgment. And another thing, I wonder, I could be wrong, but I wonder if, we are in the stage of technology where the penny press was at the turn of the 18th century, and people will get used to this and start going to news that they can corroborate.
Hang on, let me turn here to Claude Guibal, former Cairo correspondent. And people were saying, Facebook, it's great. The Arab Spring has come because we have this sort of direct democracy linked to information. Now we're saying, whoa, hang on a second. This has become a Frankenstein monster.
It can be a Frankenstein monster. It can also be for the best, As you said, nothing replaced the human judgment. The problem is not having the tools, is how do you use the tools? How do you question the tools? And that is a problem. And the problem linked to the algorithm on Facebook and on the social networks is, as a consumer, actually it gives you the feeling that you are on the right side, because everybody around you, your friends, the people you follow, they just think the same as you think. So you are in a kind of circle that never allow you to be confronted to someone else's reality, someone else's point of view, and you don't know that another reality exists. And that's what dictatorship is based on as well, and populism is based on. It's so easy to say to someone, for instance, let's talk about the angry white man or the poor, the degraded populations in the United States complaining, and they have legitimate concerns about employment, about what NAFTA has done to them. But if they have the feeling they are just alone, and you can have easy scapegoats, all the immigrants, all the Mexicans, all those aliens. It's so easy as long as you stay in your bubble, and that is the problem of those algorithms. And that is a problem of the medias as well. And that's what happened during this election. We were just talking to other experts and not going, deep and try to confront someone else. And I don't know the word in English, but my motto in French is penser contre soi-même.
To criticize your own self, basically.
Always. That should be the first
Question
thing.
your own self.
Question your own self, always.
Elena Servatas.
Yes. Earlier this week, there was a State Department speaker who told we should not treat Russia Today journalist as all other media, and it was a huge scandal in Russia, basically because she was asking, they were speaking about Russia bombing hospital, and she just wanted them to give this the concrete names, the 13 names of the hospital. He was not able to do that. So especially with the media, but it's not only the fake news; it's already completely different reality, as you say. But in this case, how you will deal with that? Because in the United States, you can have make a choice toward France 24 or Russia Today. How will you explain to all these people who are not on Facebook? At the same time, the package is really nice and is presented very strongly, very professional way. How you will deal with that?
In a piece blasting conflicts of interest between the Trump, the businessman, and Trump, the president-elect, Vox's Matthew Iglesias wrote, "Right now, Facebook is belatedly taking an interest in the problem of fake news on its platform, but it's easy to imagine a year from now Mark Zuckerberg, the boss, realizing that it's in his interest to ensure that Facebook's opaque algorithm treats pro-Trump propaganda sites fairly in order to ensure that U.S. trade negotiators and financial regulators treat Facebook fairly." Aaron Zaleski.
Strong statement. I think it's that's something to think about, but it's too early. It's very cynical, but it's too early to see how this will play out. But I do think at a certain point there is a responsibility of Facebook, not to have an opinion of the news, but maybe have some kind of signifier of, okay, this is from a something site, or this information hasn't been confirmed. I mean, something, because
But they argue, hey, it's a private company.
Right. No, I mean, it is a private company, and they can do whatever they want to do. It's a private company, but at the end of the day, there is an ethical responsibility that comes with it as well, I think.
Should there be a European answer to Facebook, or is that just impossible?
Actually, I have no clue. I don't think it's possible. But I'm not a specialist on that. But I mean, I don't know how you can stop it. I don't know if the process is reversible. I don't think so. So
I think there has to be a move in order to reiterate that there are certain news organizations that have credibility. That has to be reestablished. That also comes in with the whole rhetoric about the establishment, which cannot be trusted. And, so you have, for instance, if you have fake news sites, but then you have on Twitter, for instance, you have a blue tick, you see. Mm-hmm. So if you're following a known correspondent would not retweet Russia Today. I never retweet Russia Today. So at least you have some filters who can, something has to be done, and, they have to start looking at these areas. But no, I mean, of course, it can't be silence. And I'm not really sure that having a European Facebook is going to be any solution, because, what we want is a global community, and, that's what we like about social media.
But in Russia, they're able to block certain websites that they disagree with. So there is this is...
But look,
right, but that's got the authoritarian freedom of speech issue.
But look what happened with WikiLeaks as well. It was so trustable, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, so much information." And now, and now, WikiLeaks is questioned as well. So
WikiLeaks. It was always, that some Australian guy who was anti-American.
We talked about the Trump effect in the United States, in Russia. How about here in France? We have seen that since the election, the far-right National Front leader Marine Le Pen is more than ever riding high in the polls. We saw her on that cover of that Economist. After the results, when you were here in Paris on election day, did you think, did it change your perception on her chances of becoming the next president of France next May?
I don't know that it will up her chances. I think it definitely emboldened her and her party, and likewise emboldened other far-right groups in Europe, the same in the Netherlands and elsewhere. And I thought it was really striking that she was one of the first to tweet her congratulations even before the result was called. She was on it. Oh, I'm delighted, and congratulations to the Americans. And I thought that was very telling.
Claude Guibal, do you take her more seriously as a presidential candidate than before?
I took her seriously before. So, and I don't think we should take anything for granted. I mean, it has been proven in the United States. It has been proven in England. I think there is something something about the people's mechanics that we have to be more aware of. But, you know, the problem is not only with the Trump effect on Marine Le Pen. The Trump effect also works on other politicians in France. If you watched the debate yesterday, a lot of Donald Trump.
But let's talk about that debate, just to explain it for our viewers. On Sunday, the French vote in the first round of US-style primaries for the candidates of the center and the right. It's a new format for this country. Polls put in the lead the former prime minister and mayor of Bordeaux, Alain Juppé. He's the one in the middle. He's more moderate and further from Russia than President Sarkozy, who's trying to get his old job back, or Sarkozy's former prime minister, François Fillon, who you see there. Claude Guibal, what were your thoughts when you were watching that last night?
My first thought was to think, let's talk about renewal. And Alain Juppé was a minister when I was 12 years old. So now you know my age, but you know, it was a bit. No, what really struck me is they were, you know, the content was interesting. They were talking about programs. And most of the people, and if you were looking at the social networks, they were saying, it's dull, it's boring. And we were accusing them of being boring. Mm-hmm. And what did we want them to do? Was that to fight, to entertain us?
You wanted them to be more like Trump.
More like Trump. And what were the highlights? It was when Nicolas Sarkozy bashed David Pujadas.
The journalists for asking him about bribery.
Yeah, and so is that a question a journalist should, you know, it was just what Trump would have done, you know, or when they were questioning the press, say enough experts. I mean, all the Donald Trump attitudes were, you know, could be heard yesterday or could be seen. That was shocking. All
right, shout loudest politics. Before we go, I just want to take a look, if we could, at the situation in India. It's being dubbed Narendra Modi's make or break move. 10 days after the prime minister suddenly scrapped big banknotes, there is still chaos at banks and cash machines. 1,000 rupee banknotes withdrawn from circulation to crack down on corruption and counterfeit currency. A noble endeavor, except that those bills make up more than 80% of the country's currency.
We have money but can't use it. It's in our accounts or on us in cash, but we are unable to use it.
This demonetization is a major cleanliness drive. This is not meant to disturb anyone, but I know it has inconvenienced some people.
Lila Jacinto, it's inconvenienced some people.
Yes, it has. You know, but the broader picture, you know, this, you know, because I grew up in India, and as I'm seeing Trump elected in the US, these are my two countries, you know, I'm seeing this pattern, and I really feel like everything's coming full circle. This is populist politics.
It's crackdown on corruption and tax dodging.
Well, this is it. He ran on a platform of cleaning up the economy and economic growth. Now, per se, they are very good platforms that everybody should come together on. Donald Trump is doing the same thing. But when populism becomes so important that you have to make these kind of big gestures that are very ill-conceived, bad for the economy, the Indian economy is going to suffer, at least in the next 6 months. You know, this is where the populism politics gets transferred into bad policy. And on economic growth, at least, you know, all the populist leaders want what the left wants as well. You know, Narendra Modi ran on a ticket, you know, so people who did not want to see his ugly side told themselves, well, he's going to boost the economy and clean up corruption. The economy is not any more boosted. You know, the previous party...
The economy's doing okay in India. They've got more growth than we do.
Right, but the changes that he's made are incremental. It was the previous party, the Congress party, that actually opened up a social, you know, a closed, protected economy. So it's not doing that well. On corruption is a huge malaise. You cannot, you know, you can't win a civil war by airdrops, and that's what he's doing. very miscalculated. This is going to actually have more corruption because, a 500 rupee note and a 1,000 rupee note is just nothing. You have to function with that.
It's like the equivalent of $7 and $14?
Yes, and inflation is so high. So what's going to happen is there's going to be more corruption in order to get around this because, there's an infinite amount of ways people can adjust to this. So, this is a precursor of if we as the media and everybody does not stay alert to the populist discourse, it really gets transferred into policies that hurt ordinary people.
But we are helping them, actually. Each time we're speaking about Marine Le Pen and we're laughing at Donald Trump, journalists are responsible for this race and kind of endorsement as well, because we are. I'm not sure that we have to forget what he said and we just ignore completely, but we have to figure out how we are speaking about these people.
All right, we're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave it there for now. I want to thank Lila Jacinto, Aaron Zaleski, Claude Guibal, Elena Servitas. Stay with us though. Our Media Watch segment is next. And we say hello to Emma James.
Hi there.
You just heard Elena Servitas say we're providing the oxygen.
I know it is a terrible, terrible thing that we're doing for the world, I think.
So what are you going to talk about?
Well, I am going to talk about Donald Trump. I'm very sorry. But basically, as his administration starts to take shape, that is what everyone is talking about right now, whether they love the idea or they hate it. This particular cartoon from Canada, Michael de Adda, in the Hill Times Global, has Trump basically depicted as one of the four horsemen of the apocalypse turning up. And you can see Barack Obama there saying the Trump transition team is here. And that is how a lot of people are viewing this. They are genuinely scared by who they are seeing being appointed. David Axelrod from the Institute of Politics at the University of Chicago has a lot to say on the issue, including these tweets.
Former campaign director for
Absolutely. Donald Trump is sticking with those who brought him to the dance, but to many Americans it will seem a monster's ball. He goes on to say that the appointment of General Flynn at the National Security Council may cheer Putin and Erdogan, but adds a volcanic mix to the national security. And he's not alone in being concerned. Lots and lots of tweets out there. Bannon, Flynn, Pompeo. I guess now when ISIS says America is at war with Islam, we will have no choice but to shrug and agree. Now, this is one of the most vocal critics of Donald Trump from the Republican camp, Anna Navarro. She says Jeff Sessions, considered to be too racist to be a judge in the 1980s, is now Trump's attorney general. Best to go back to sleep, America. I'll wake you up when it's over. And it does seem to be Flynn and Sessions who are getting the most attention, certainly when you look around at articles that are being written. This one in Vox talks about the new National Security Advisor, the retired Army Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. They say that he shares conspiracy theories, expletive-filled posts and racially insensitive sentiments on Twitter and Facebook. Sound familiar, anyone? Now, according to this article, he was going to be considered for the position of Defence Secretary. However, they've decided to go this way because it circumnavigates the need for there to be congressional approval of his appointment. Now, Jeff Sessions in the Huffington Post, they're reporting on the fact that, again, he was rejected as a federal judge over allegations, and they detail them here, that he called a black attorney boy, suggested a white lawyer working for black clients was a race traitor, and joked that the only issue he had with the Ku Klux Klan was their drug use. Now, mentioning the Ku Klux Klan, David Duke is one of those to be very happy with the appointments that have been revealed so far. Absolutely, a former wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, a white nationalist, Holocaust denier, you name it, he's been accused of it. He says, great, Senate must demand that Sessions, as Attorney General, stop the massive institutional race discrimination against whites. And he's not alone in his support. It isn't just a question of it is only the most high-profile sort of white nationalists who are backing this. This gentleman, deplorable vet, clearly a fan of Donald Trump, says, my country is back on the path to sanity, strength and respect around the world. I am overjoyed, great days ahead. There are lots, though, concerned with how the media is portraying this, as we were just saying. This gentleman demonstrates the kind of comments that these people have been making in his own little shorthand, and then says the press are basically saying that the critics say Trump is hiring racists. And that is as far as he believes the media goes in terms of criticising this.
So not far enough or too far?
Not far enough. He
Yeah.
says these people are saying hateful things, and that all the press has to say about it is that critics say he's hiring racists.
I come back, Claude Guibal, it's something that Leila said. There are people who are definitely most people who voted for Donald Trump are not racist. When the ones that you met.
There were a lot of people who were seduced by what he said about the cutting taxes and bringing the jobs back, but also there were racist people as well. But many people just look at the immigrants or the foreigners are as scapegoats, for what they fear. But actually, I've met the guys from the Ku Klux Klan and the Nazi movement. In Pennsylvania 3 days before Trump got elected, and they told me, oh, we are not endorsing him officially, but we are so happy to see that now our ideas are mainstream, and that proves we were right, and that was hopefully scaring.
I wanted to ask you about the French elections, because earlier we were talking about the center-right. Tell us about the left, and most notably the incumbent, who's having a hard time getting his campaign off the
super
ground.
quickly, because we do have a clip to show you of this. The fight for the leadership of the left has barely got underway, but François Hollande is going to be clinging on with his fingertips. He hasn't stated definitely that he's running, but there is a viral video out there that shows he is ready to take on anyone for that particular top job. Let's take a look.
बहुत टेंशन में लग रहा है पिएगा क्या चिल्ड है आजा
अंकल आप जाओगे तो ये लोग मम्मी को भी मार देंगे
मेरी जरूरत है मैं
So in case you didn't catch it, that was Emmanuel Macron as the small child there at
And his
François
Prime
Hollande's
Minister...
And Prime Minister Manuel Valls told in no uncertain terms, don't you think about running against me.
Oh dear, they've been warned. Our panel's been warned. You've been warned. Many thanks for joining us here in The World This Week.